Hello everyone, welcome to Howstuffinmycarworks channel. Today's video is about how to replace the ignition switch on this 2003 Mini Cooper. These tips are going to apply to the other R50 models. So if you have an R50 that has a bad ignition switch, just keep on watching if you want to learn how to replace it. Now here's the kicker. I'm replacing this switch because of a no-start condition. The car won't start. But something that was very interesting is, a few days ago the car developed a very strange problem. The wipers would just come on their own, you know, whether it was the front or the rear, sometimes both front and rear, and just randomly, and they wouldn't stop until you turn the car off, and then you turn it on, and sometimes they would turn off, and sometimes they would just stay on. And usually that kind of problem is related to a body control module. I was going to troubleshoot the body control module, but to my either good or bad luck, all of a sudden the car wouldn't start this morning, so I figured, hey, let's go ahead and replace the switch. And as I was doing some research, come to find out, this could be the reason why the wipers are doing what they're doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the key on so you can see that the wipers just come on by themselves. And then we'll see, once I replace the switch, if that goes away. I know the car will start after I replace it, but we'll find out for sure if the wiper problem is solved. So let's turn the key on and see what happens. Okay, so right there, let me get the camera up close until you turn the key off. And as you could tell, the wipers were on the off position, because here's on, so they were off and they were just going like crazy. Sometimes the rear wiper starts going like crazy too, so you got front and rear just going and going. So we're going to replace the ignition switch so the car can start, and after that we'll see if that also solves this annoying wiper problem. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the part number of the one I bought from my local auto parts store. You can either buy the OEM, this one, or another one. It's up to you. Since this repair involves working with the electrical system, it's necessary to disconnect the battery cable. You don't need to disconnect both, just the negative will do. Alright, so there's that. Okay, so next step is to remove the lower steering column cover. And there are two pins, one here and one here, that hold it in place. And it's just guided under here. You don't need to pull on this one. You can do it different ways. You can use a plastic pry bar on each end, or you can just grab both ends like that and pull on it hard, like that. Like that. So the clips that hold it in place, they go in different directions. Two go that way, and then this one goes up. When you're installing it, you just slide it straight and then you go up with it. So these are the pins right there that I'm talking about. There's this one and that one. They just push against here. So there's that. So remove this. So once you have removed the lower cover, the next step is to remove this seal that goes around the lock and key assembly. So it just snaps in place, so you just pull on it and it comes off. You can see, you know, what holds it in place. You know, it's a lip. So now there are two T25 screws right here that need to be removed. So I'm going to go ahead and get the T25 Torx bit. One. There's two. And then just gently separate it. It's two halves, the cover. And when you take it out, you gotta guide it through the lock and key. So pulling it out a little, like that. And there's the cover. So now we have room to get to the ignition switch, which is going to be on this side. So I'm going to bring the camera to this side so you can see it. To disconnect the electrical plug, you need to pull on this right here, pull it out, and that releases it and it comes off just like that. Then to remove it, there are 2 screws underneath that hold it in place. I'm going to aim the camera so you can see them. Okay, so here's one right there, and it's flat. And on the other side of the switch, so right here is the second one. To remove the switch, you don't need to take them out all the way, just enough to clear. I'll show you what I mean. You see this recess area right there on both sides? That's where the screws go into. They don't go all the way through. All they do is push against it, and the reason why it's recessed is so it doesn't move side to side. So the screws that you saw on the car, they just need to be loosened up enough so the switch slides out. So these screws have thread locker on them so they don't come off or they don't come loose. So it's possible that in order for you to break them loose, like you may not be able to do it by hand, especially with such a small screwdriver, so you may have to use pliers like that to break them loose. And once they're loose, then you can loosen them up like that. And like I said, there's no need to take them out all the way, so I'll go ahead and do the other one. And once it's loose, just slide the switch out. There it is. Here's an up close look right there. You can see how it goes on. Okay, so next step, compare your switches, make sure that you have the right one. This is the old one I just removed, this is the new one. And before you install it, make sure that this part is aligned the same way. That way you don't break it when you're trying to push it in and it slides in easily. Because this is the part that turns when you turn your ignition key on, back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and slide the switch inside and make sure it goes on. And I'm going to snug one of the screws. I'm going to remove the other one, apply thread locker, put it on, and then remove the first one that I snugged just to keep it in place. So there's that. I'm just going to snug this one. Just to keep the switch from falling. And I'm going to remove the other one completely off. So there it is. I'm just going to apply it a little bit just so it doesn't come off, and I'm going to put it on. I'm going to go ahead and just snug it a little bit with the pliers. That way it's about the same as it was when I took it off. But the thread locker is what's going to keep it from coming off. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with this one. I'm not going to film it, you get the idea. But I'll put thread locker on this one too. So I have thread locker on both screws and they're snug. To connect it, make sure this is all the way out first. And slide it in. And there you go. It locks it in place. It's not going anywhere. You can pull on it. Make sure that it's tight. And it's secure. Okay, so everything is back on. So the moment of truth, let's see if this vehicle is going to start. Alright, so let's see if it's going to start. It starts right up. So far the wipers are not going like crazy on their own. We'll find out as the days go by if that took care of it. But like I said, replacing the switch, it was because the vehicle just wouldn't start anymore. So there you have it. That's what it takes to replace a defective ignition switch on an R50 Mini Cooper. And very simple tools, T25 Torx, 10mm to disconnect the battery, flat screwdriver, threadlocker and pliers most likely. So far the wipers are not going on like crazy, okay? So right now we're going to make the assumption that the ignition switch was the cause of the wipers doing what they were doing. But what I'll do, if it didn't fix the problem with the wipers, on the video description I'll write down that it didn't solve that, it only took care of the not starting problem. Now if I don't write anything on the video description, that means that this took care of the wiper problem also. I am not going to do a follow-up video, just so you know. So if you end up watching this video 2-3 months, maybe a year from now, and there's nothing written down saying that the ignition switch did not solve the wiper problem, that means that it did. And the reason why I'm explaining this ahead of time is because I don't have time to answer questions, and I don't want anyone to feel that I didn't want to answer something. If you don't see anything written down months later, this was it, and that's all it takes to cure this insane problem with the Mini Coopers, with the wipers going on back and forth on their own. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.